Where I left off was this one, I think. No, that's how you completed it. Okay, so this is actually where I left off, and I haven't beaten this one yet. I've done a couple different versions. We're gonna start over. So let's pop in here. So what we have to do, I'm trying to decide if I want music or not. It might be harder to think if I have music. We'll see. So sequences are 0 terminated, period. So this is a sequence 0 terminated. Read a sequence from in V, which comes in here. Read index value from X in, right here, or in X, right here. Look up the value in the sequence and write the number to out down here. Okay. So with this, we have a couple things that we need to think about. Let me actually try with the music. Turns out I can redstone with music, but apparently I can't program with music. Okay, so so the first thing I need to do is I need to take these values and I need to store them in here. I have my notes in case I need to refer back to print commands. So we can do, we want to take all these values and put them into this. So we're going to start with that and then see what that looks like. So we're going to move, well, we need a starting point. It's a label, so we can loop back to it. We're going to move whatever is up to the right. And then, okay, I guess I'll have to look up. It's like jump, I think J. Where is it? I think it's JEZ. Jump if 0. We're almost there. JEZ, yeah. And then the other one is JNZ, which is if it is not 0. Interesting. I didn't realize that existed. And then JGZ if it's greater than 0, and JLZ if it's less than 0, and then JRO. It does that command. The operation at the offset specified by source relative to, so it's like jumping over some code. Okay, got it. All right, so we're going to move up to the right, and then JEZ, we're going to jump to end. Otherwise, we're going to jump to start, and then end is here. It doesn't actually do anything right now. So this is going to put all the values in there. Actually, here, what we want to do is do we want to get the value. We want to store it in our hand, because we don't actually want the 0 over there, I don't think. No, actually having a 0 over there is probably useful. So never mind. So that's fine. Move it over there, and then we're going to jump to the end. So if we run this, oh, sorry, I changed this. Right. Okay. So if we move this, it should put all the things over there, and they're in that order. Okay. So then we need to figure out what to do next. So next thing we want to do is take a value from here. So the main thing is I need to read stuff off of here, but I want to get everything back into here just fine. So what I was doing before is, here is where I would take in a value that it's trying to look for, and then as it's processing them through, it would, let's see, so they're in kind of the reverse order, because I believe that the way it works is that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out what's the first thing that comes off the stack. So here I'm going to say move 1 down. So that's just going to trigger this guy. And so this guy is move up right. And this one's going to, or I guess I don't have to, that's kind of silly. Here. What I want to do is move right into my hand. And I want to see what actually is the value I get off there. Is it 0 or is it 860? 860. So run. So 860. So it actually pulls the first value put in off first, which is what we want. Right. Okay. So then, that's good. That's good. So what we could do is this thing's job is going to be just, it's going to take them off, and it puts in, back in, all right, let me think. So we want to move the value from up, down. Hello, JJ Bonzig. We're playing some TIS 100. I realize I'm blocking this last one here, but I don't know if I'll use it, so it might be okay. This game may require too much thinking. Yes, yeah, this one's, and then I've already done this one and tried to do it twice. I'm actually going to start over because I'm fresh mind. It's been like 6 months since I played it last, probably. So what we're going to do, we move all the stuff into here. So that's going to be all stored in there. The first thing that comes off is what we want, this first value here. So we'll see if we can actually process it here, but part of it is I think I need to rearrange them to come into here. Maybe not. Let's try this first. Let's see. Let's have this one do some of the logic. So then move up, left, and then this guy's job when it starts, it's going to say move right into my hand. And then this one has certain limited commands, so I can't just do a regular loop like I would like to do with a bunch of variables. So let me remember how this works. So I need to get the value that's from the right, and then this is going to be the main loop. Problem with this game, hopefully doesn't reflect on you, your chosen profession. Yeah, right. No, it doesn't, because in PHP you have a lot more variables. This one you have very few. So then now I have the value, it's in my hand, I'm in a loop. I possibly want to store it in the, no? What's the command for that? It's back. Invalid opcode back. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I know it. Save. So that will take the value and put it into the backup. And then in the loop, what I want to do is move the thing that's in the backup into my hand. Oh, I can't directly access it, right? I need to swap. So that's taking now. I mean, this thing seems silly, but we'll possibly that'll make sense in a second. So I'm taking, first thing I'm doing is I'm getting the 0, moving it down, comes in here, I store it in here, and then I save it, move it to here, and then within my loop, I put it back into my hand, and that might make sense in a second. So that now the thing in my hand is 0, and and if it is 0, I want to move how do I do this? I think what I might do, how do I make this work? So I'm trying to remember how I do loops in this game. So I need to actually take the value from up above. Okay, so I'm going to take the value from up above. So move up into my hand. Swap them. If the value is 0, then I want to send it over to the right. And that's going to be move what's in my hand right. And then Why isn't it liking that? There we go. And then if let's say I don't send it. So then what I want to do is I want to move what's in my hand down. So move it back down, or let's say left. Let's see if we can make this work. Left. I do want this thing to not... I don't want them to stick it all in. So actually, I guess we'll have to move it down. So that's taking the value. Let's suppose it's not 0. Let's say it's 1 in this case. So it's not 0. It will take what's in my hand from this and move it down here. And then I want to swap. So now I have that number that I don't care about anymore in here, and then in my hand is the incrementer. And I want to subtract 1 from it. And then save. And then jump to loop. So there's a couple other things I have to do here. So here, I want to get back to here. So let's suppose I did send it to the right. What I want to do then is I need to get back up to here. So this is move, or let's see. I don't know. No. Jump to. We're gonna call it that. So then this one over here needs to, when it's done, jump to. Okay. So this part kind of works for the first time. But what I need to also do is when I pull a 0 off of this, I know that that's actually the end of all those values. So if the value in my hand, I do still want to move it down. So that's this here. But then if I have to remove this. If the value in my hand is 0, then I want to jump to start. So that's just going all the way back to here. Okay, we're going to call it something shorter. ST. So that it'll still move the 0 down. But I won't do the rest of the stuff, and it'll just go back to the beginning and say, let's just start over now. So what this thing needs to do is it takes the value from above and moves it over. So it takes this value, moves it over here to know what it's looking for. And then the next thing it's going to do is accept a value from left and move it down. And this one needs to, the only thing it's ever going to do is move up, down. So in theory, this one might work for the first one. But then this thing's empty, so it won't ever be able to get beyond the first one. So let's see if that works. So I got 0. Okay. Interesting. So it sent 0 instead of the value. Because what I did here is, I need to, yeah, okay. So I'm out of room again. That's the problem I was having before. So one thing we can do is we can do this. So that gives us, because we only have this much space to do stuff. So we need to here's if it's 0, let's see. So this, if the value is 0, we go down to send. But that's really just the index we want to switch the two, because we want to send the value that's in right now the backup. So we're going to need to first do a swap to get the value we want to send back in our hand. But then we're going to, when we're coming back here to jump to, it's now the wrong value in our hand. So if we could fit another swap down here, we would do that. Oh, we could do this. Here we go. So we're going to do that and then swap back and see if that works. So it moved all those values down. It never sent anything to the right. No, it did. It did. Okay, so that actually did work. All right, good. So now this one is just waiting for stuff to be up here. Okay, so maybe can we refill this? So actually, let's look. So this is actually in reverse order from what we want or up here. And we never are, these are wrong values. Wait, what? What are these values? What? Am I subtracting one? Okay, looks like at some point I'm subtracting from the wrong thing. So, okay, so let's double check to see what we have here. So we get the value. We move up into our hand. So that's the value from above. We swap it. So now in theory, our index is in our hand, and then the actual number is in our pocket, let's say. And then we, if the index that's in our hand is 0, we go to send. That actually worked. If not, then we move what's in our hand down. So that's wrong, because we need to send. What we need here is the value. Okay. So for now, since we're out of lines, I'll come back to send. So here we need to do so before we do this step, we need to do a swap, because we want to get the value back in our hand, because we want to actually move that value down. I guess we could move it down no matter what, right? So we get it in our hand. It's in our hand. Before we do any swaps, let's just move it down. Because we know once we get a value from there, we want to send it down no matter what. And then we can check. Now we need to do a swap. So let's remove some of this stuff. So now we need to do a swap to get the index back in our hand. If the index is 0, let's remove some of this other stuff. We'll have to redo some logic. So here's send. So if it is 0, the first thing we need to do is get the index back in our hand. No, I'm sorry, the actual value back in our hand. Right. Yeah, because we have, at this point, we have the index in our hand. If it is 0, that means this is the thing that we want to send to the right. So we swap it, we send it to the right, and then we're going to go back to having just the index in our hand. Yes. And then jump 2. But there's probably a better name I can give it. And so then here, what we want to do is now we have the index in our hand. We want to subtract 1 from it. And then just go back to the beginning of the loop. So we by just sending it down right away, we were able to avoid a bunch of the swaps. So let's see if this works. No, I see. I need to. Part of this thing is that it's assuming that at the beginning of the loop that the index is in the backup. So play. Interesting. Oh, sorry. This should be move what's in our hand down. There we go. Okay, so not quite. We do have this value here, which is great, I think. but the other values don't seem right at all. It's interesting. All right, let's go slower then. How do you do exclamation point? I think is a breakpoint. So we're going to, every time we go into this loop, we're going to go slow. Okay, so play. So here, I'm going to step. So the first time through, or okay, this is, I think this is, oh, this is, okay, yeah. So if I want to go, this takes the value 860, sends it down. So it is down there. It swaps, moves 860 back. It is 0, the value. So then I swap the 2, I move it to the right, which sends the answer properly. Swaps it back. So I'm looking at these things here. And then jumps to that, which subtracts 1, saves it, and jumps back to loop. Aha, I've never exited. I don't have anything in here about if the actual thing in our hand is 0. So here, instead of a save, if I do a swap, and then if the thing in my hand is 0, which is the end of this particular index thing, then I can, so jump if the thing in my hand is 0, go to start. I don't think it's going to solve my problem, but let's do a full run. Let's remove this for now, just to see what this looks like. Okay, so yeah, so there's still weird values. And what did... Oh, you got another value. How interesting. Oh. Right. No. How do you... Why... Okay. Let's add a breakpoint. I'm not really understanding what's happening there. So, all right. So we get the value, we store it, we send it down here. We also send it, because this is jump of 0, it is 0, so it's the first number. And then, oh wait, hold on. Oh, right. Okay, so not subtract. Is that right? Subtract. No, that should be fine. Okay. So send it to the right. Great. Swap. Now it's back in the right spot. Now we want to jump to here, which is subtract 1, and then swap them. Okay, I need to swap. This is the check. I'm swapping before that, so I need to actually do... No, wait. Aha. So this is what I had in there. This is subtracting 1 from the index. I need to... I mean, I do need to subtract 1 from the index every time I go through this loop. What I need to really do here is check to see if the value I got was 0, which I can assume actually doesn't have to be sent over. So maybe I can move this up higher. So after I take the value and I send it down, if the value I have is 0, just start over. Okay. So in here I can subtract 1 from the index. Yes, that's right. And then swap. And then jump to the beginning of the loop. So let's remove this breakpoint. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's interesting. It's still send a second value. Okay, all right. Are these values making sense? No, not really. I'm looking at these, trying to figure out where. Like 900 makes sense. What is Is this number even over there? Oh, it is. But it's in like a completely random order. Huh. Is there some mechanic about these I'm forgetting about? Because I'm never moving anything down up, or like I'm never pulling from it. It's like they're in a random order. Is Mr. JJ Bonsig watching? I have coffee for this stream. Okay, we're gonna step through because I don't really understand. So we're going to. So this sends the 860 down. And then we're going to do the send because we like the value. It goes down. Everything's great. Next, we're going to say, okay, well, now we've finished sending. Let's go back. So we're going to subtract 1 from it. It's -1. Then we're going to swap. We're going to jump back to the beginning of the loop, which moves the thing from up above. Why is there so few values up here? Oh, interesting. Interesting. This thing isn't done yet. That's why they're all random. Okay, let's stop. But he was eating. I mean, it's fine. It's more just. Okay, so right, this thing has to finish before I can start doing this, and that's kind of what I was running into. So I was running out of some space. So what I'll have to do first, before I. So at the beginning of the loop, before I accept anything and actually go through my loop, I want to move left into, who cares? And what that's going to do is this thing here is going to move. So when it's all done, it's going to move 1 down, and this thing is going to move up right. So what this does is this thing's going to finish first before, so I want to have this thing actually populated before this thing runs. So I think at the end of this, when it runs, I'll get the one right answer. And then down here, I will have the reverse of what was up here. So let's take out the breakpoint. Let's just see if that, when I run it, if that works. No, did not work at all. Okay. So let's breakpoint here. Go. So this thing isn't full like it should be. Move up to the right. If the value of my hand is 0, go to end. Otherwise, go to the start. When I am at this step here, why? If the value of my hand is 0, move up. Oh, interesting. Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, fair enough. So I never put it in my hand. So I was always checking the default value of 0. So I move up into my hand, and then move whatever's in my hand to the right, and then actually look at it, and then do all that stuff. So now if I play, I think that I will get 1 right answer, and then this stack will be reversed over here. Nope. Interesting. Okay. So that tells me that it actually pulls from the reverse direction. So let's stop right here. So they go in this order, but watch, move. I'm going to say move up into my hand. So it actually removes the last thing there. So I sort of want these in reverse order from what they're in there now. Right. So what I can do with that is ponder that. Because I get the value 0 from here. So I could I mean, I guess I could capture the length over here, and then I can add that number to the index over here, but I don't really have a lot of room to play with, so that's not going to work out too well. It's kind of full in this spot. Gosh. And then adds, so it adds a value from a source into what's in my hand. Okay. And I don't have any room in here. No. Because you can merge labels and code together, but otherwise I'm full. I could try a different puzzle. It's in the wrong order. If I wanted to reverse the order. So what is it? First, it's last in, first out. Is there anything I could do with that? No, because I was thinking like, can you upgrade to a better programming language? Yeah. So like I was thinking, can I like reverse the order just in here, like before I actually send down the 1, like pull the values out and then put them back in, but not really, because the let's see, so I could move so if I put the values in there and then here I pull all the values out, I move them down into here, now they're in the right order. This one signals saying I've finished it, sends it up. This one tells that thing it can go. It pulls from the bottom instead. They're in the right order. Puts them up here, and they will be in the wrong order. And then this one again will. Okay, so that might work. If that made any sense, congratulations. Somehow you understand what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do here is now. So now not end, but this is just this is setup. And then we're going to make sure we have enough room. So we're going to go like that. So that's just the setup to get everything initially put in there. But we're never going to come back to that. And then this is actually the loop. This is going to be move right down. And then, or actually, I'm sorry, you have to put in your hand. And then move what's in my hand down. If the thing in my hand, does this thing have to ever do anything else besides just take stuff from the... Oh, yeah. So if... so if the thing in my hand is 0 and I've already sent it down, then I want to go to wait. Otherwise, I want to jump to loop. Wait is going to be move down to nil and then jump back to loop. So this thing is going to take everything from here, send it down. Once I've actually sent everything down, no, because the 0 is going to come in first. You could put a 0 on either side. Doesn't sound very fun. Yeah, what I need to do is this thing needs to know when it send everything down, and it shouldn't, well, no. Yeah, it needs to wait until it's told to continue on. And it needs to send everything down. But I can't look for the 0 because the 0 is going to come out first. Which is the whole thing we had here. Interesting. My foot's asleep. Okay. So one option is I can put a 0 at the beginning. So, and then I can ignore the first 0. But that'll probably run into complications here. Well, not necessarily. Okay, so we're going to so this thing, when everything first starts, we're going to move 0 to the right. So we're going to preload in a 0 above this. And then we're going to, why don't you like end? Oh, I don't have an end anymore. That's fair. You're going to go to the loop. So then move what's to the right, down. When it's that initial 0, we want to ignore it. So really there's going to be 2 levels to the loop. Loop 1 is move no, that's fine. Okay, all right, sorry. Okay, start over. So we want the first the first 0 we do want to send because it's actually the end of the string. The second 0 we don't want to send. So my brain. Do I want to send 0 on both sides the whole time? Do I want to always have those around? Hello, Sky. I'm processing my brain. Okay, so if I keep a 0 on both sides all the time, what sort of problems will we run into there? I will need to have extra code in here that will handle some extra 0 we don't want to use. In a way where we're not going to increment so that's going to probably cause a problem here. So I might, and we really only need the extra 0 in here. So I'm not going to send that 0 down. Okay. So the loop. I still can't get used to the 0 delay. Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? Okay. So, all right. So we've moved everything that's over here into here. We've added in an extra 0 above this. So then what we want to do is we want to move all the values from over there down. Instead of having extra 0, I guess we could try to have an incrementer. So length. But that won't be too easy. Yeah. No, we're not going to do that. Okay. So I'm going to take all the values from the right, put it into my hand. I take the value and I move it down. I don't really want to send the last 0 down. So maybe the outer loop is I'm going to assume there's always going to be at least one thing, which is actually the 0. So I'm going to move right down. Okay, we'll make our variables a little bit smaller. So loop 1, do we have room for the P? Otherwise it looks like line. Down. So we're going to move the 0 that's actually this 0 down right away. And then we're going to go into this part where we are going to say, now I want to actually go through and process them regular. So move the thing to the right into my hand, move the thing in my hand down. So before we actually move it down, what I want to do is, if it is 0, I want to move over to wait. Otherwise, I'm going to send it down. And then I want to jump back to loop 2, because I don't want to do this initial like freebie. So now wait says wait till you get a signal from below you. And then when you do, jump to this, which is saying everything's back in here, and you should send it all down to reverse the order. Okay, so now this thing's new job is to move. So there's going to be some variables here. I guess we'll say start. I don't know. So we want to move. I guess we'll go smaller because of how this game works. So now we want to move everything from up above down. That's it for now, but we'll come back to it. We'll probably do more in a second. Then we want to move everything up to the right. We're going to need to listen for the 0. No, we're not, because the 0 never sent. Like, so the ending is here. So I guess we actually need to, we do need to move. No, we are sending the last 0. Let me think. No. Okay. So the last thing coming through is a 0. So we do still want to send that 0. So the last thing is a 0. So now we have a 0 on both sides coming through. I want to move the thing from the up into my hand. And then if, so the first one that comes through is a 0, which is the thing at the end. So we actually want to keep that. So we're actually going to have 2 parts of this jump. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move up to the right. So this is the 0 that's at the end here that we actually just want to process normal. So we're going to put it over here. And then we're actually going to go through the loop where I start evaluating stuff. So I'm going to move what's above into my hand. And then if the value is 0, I want to go to done for now. We'll call it that. And there's no syntax there. If that's not the case, then what we want to do is we want to move what's in our hand to the right. And then jump back to the second part of the loop where we're evaluating the values. And then done is that we want to not send the value to the right. We want to send a signal upward. So this thing's going to have to work differently. But we want to send a signal up. Send just 1 up. So that's telling this thing, hey, I'm done. And then after that, it needs to just jump back to the beginning of the loop. So this thing, I think, is programmed correctly. So it's going to take all the values. This thing takes all of them initially, puts them in here. And then it pulls them all out, moves them down, put those go in here. When this thing is done, it sends the signal up to here. That will then transfer the signal over here and tell this thing to run. But we need to come up here, and we need to adjust this a little bit. So this thing is going to have an upper loop. So it's going to move everything from up above. So the initial 0, we just want to send down. We don't want to evaluate it. And then we want to take whatever is above, move it to our hand. If it is 0, we do still want to send it down. And then if it is, if it is 0, we've sent it down because we need that one 0 down here. But then if it is 0, then we need to move on to the listen phase, which we're going to abbreviate to this. That phase is going to be where it's looking for a signal from down below. And it's going to move that same signal to the right. Okay, we're going to remove some more letters. So what that does is it says, okay, so after this thing sends everything down and sees that there was a 0 at the end of that, it says, okay, now I'm just going to listen for this guy. The one down here is going to, when it's done moving stuff in there, it's going to send a signal up, this one. That thing moves over here, and that's going to trigger this thing to say, now you can actually start pulling in values from here. When that's done, it needs to listen for a signal from here to say, so then it needs to say move from the right to nil. So it's going to wait until this thing sends it a signal, which is then going to tell the thing above, okay, it's your turn, move all the stuff that's here and move it all down. And then it's going to jump to loop 1. The signal that he is here, I don't think I haven't doing anything with it yet. So up here, this thing is going to do the wait. No, actually, okay, right here. Good, I already programmed that in. Look at that. There's, what are you happy about? Loop 1. Oh, I see. There. Okay, so this thing is sending a signal to the right. Or from, it's getting from the right. No, wait. Move whatever's down to the right. So it's sending the 1 over. So this thing over here, I need to actually reverse some of these orders I did. So move the value from the left into nil. So that's actually the go ahead signal here. And then I want to move whatever's from the right into my hand, which is the thing we talked about. And then I need to move actually from, so all the down, all the ups I need to change to down. And then so here I'm going to move this up. And then moving this to the right. At the end of the whole thing, I do need to send a signal to the left to say I'm done. But let's suppose that we can, right now I can't fit that in. But so for now, I'll just hit play. So they come in there, they're in reverse. Oh, I see, I put it in a breakpoint, good. So that'll be nice. So we get the value from there. We send it up right away. We see that the value that we just got is not 0, so it's not going to go to the start. Okay, we swap the two. If the value is 0, we send it to the right. We go to the send code, which it is. We swap them. We send it to the right. We swap it back. We jump to there. Subtract 1 from the index. Do a swap. Jump to the beginning of the loop. So I think this is all good, except I never am sending a signal to the right. So let's oh, there's one more thing I wanted to do. I want this thing to add another 0 back in when it's all said and done. But that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that I don't have enough room in my code. Okay, so when this thing sends all the values down, when it's moving to wait, first step I want to do is actually move a 0 back in to the right. So that's the preloaded 0 before all the values. But this thing I need to somehow fit a code that says send, so write so this part right here, in addition to that, I need to have a line of code that says send a signal to the right. I don't have a lot of space. So, I mean, one option is I can potentially move this code to here. And that might help break up some of the logic. Because then I can be listening for the 0 in here. So let's try that. So we're going to move this code to here. So we're going to move up, down. We're actually going to now move down, or up to down. Then we're going to move. So this line here was to send the result, so we don't even need to do that anymore. I kind of forgot these things automatically loop themselves. Like I just have this line of code, but no jumping. So that might be useful somewhere. Yeah, in fact, I can potentially get rid of that. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to take, so now it's slightly different. So I'm going to move the signal right. I was waiting for a signal from here to start the process. So perhaps I want to put it here. No, because, because I have to then send the signal across and then down again. Which I guess I could do. So what it's going to first do, this thing, its whole loop is going to be move left to the right. So this is listening for that initial trigger. And this thing is going to be move left, down. So its first thing it's going to do is just say, you can go. And then this is actually supposed to be the value that I want. So really it's also going to be from the up. So this one moves from the left down to send the signal, but then it's going to actually take the value from up above and move it down. Then it does this. So then this guy needs to move up into, so this is the thing we want. Then I need to move down into my hand. So it's actually now left. Move left into my hand. We'll get there, maybe. Move left into our hand. And then we want to take that value and move it up, which is accurate. So then this thing needs to be move down into our hand. And then for now, we're not going to evaluate it. We're just going to say move what's in our hand to the left. And then jump back to the loop. And then over here, this thing's job is move right, up. It's probably going to also want to evaluate. So what we'll do is we'll say move it into our hand, and then move our hand up, and then jump back to loop. So this is going to take whatever values it's passed to it, move it over this way, and it moves it back in. Okay. Let's see. So this code coming back to here. So I move whatever it is up. If the index is 0, then I wanted to jump to start, saying I'm done. I've already sent it up though, so that's fine. Otherwise, I'm going to swap, and then if the value, my index is 0, I want to go to send, and so send is going to be swap the values, move it in my hand down, and then swap back. Subtract. So I think that might work. So then up here, once this one gets to, so if the value I received is a 0, so this is the end of the string. So jump if 0. Then you need to go to the start. All right, we're gonna change the values. So that's the main loop, and then the inner loop is here. So then this thing will, once it gets a 0, it will still pass it to the left, but then it will move to the point where it's going to be listening from the left, and which is actually going to be the signal that everything has been moved back to here. Then this guy is going to do a very similar thing. So we're going to change some values. So outer loop, inner loop, 2 actually. So if the value that I just got, which I've just sent up, is 0, then I want to jump to the outer loop, which is going to be listening for something from the left. I'm going to also need to here, I want to notify this dude that I'm ready for the signal, for this thing to be moved down. So we need to actually also, so I guess we're going to have a notify. But, and because we have a lot of room here, I'll just do that. So notify, I want to move 1 to the left. And then I'm going to jump back to the beginning, and I believe I don't need these jump commands here. I think that they jump back on their own, so I'm not going to worry about that. So we're actually going to jump to notify. And then I think let's attempt this. Let's get rid of that. Let's see if that works. So this thing, once it gets 0, it does send it up, and then sends the 1 over here. And this guy is he listening for a 1? Is that happening somewhere? Moving from the right, move to the right, sorry here. So I move down to the right. So I send the signal saying do stuff. Now it's just sitting here waiting. So that signal there, move right to the left, move right. Okay, okay. Did I cover everything? Okay, so I have a breakpoint in here. Okay, so what do we have? I preloaded in the 0, like I talked about. Oh, they highlight what's going to pull out next. That's nice. Okay. So, what are we dealing with here? I have received the 0 that I want. I pull the first value out. I see that the value is not 0. I swap the 2. See if the index is 0. It is. I go to send. I swap the 2. I send it down. I swap back. I jump to 2, which is here. So I subtract 1 from the index. And then I swap to have the index in the register, or in the other thing. And then I go back up to here. which is take the value from the left, put it in my hand, move it up, swap it. So far so good. So I'll step through these. If I hit play, there we go. So are these values looking accurate? Yes, okay. So I want to make sure that the 0 gets over there. Okay, so now we're on the next thing. So it's supposed to be a 5 actually. So these numbers are sort of in here, but they're not really at me yet. So the 5 is what we're looking for. So I'm going to do step through. So this should be the number that goes, right? No. No, the next one. So let's see what happens. Okay, I did send it. Okay, well let's get rid of our breakpoints. Did we actually solve this? By golly, it looks very promising. Is it going to fail at any of these? Let's go fast forward. Oh my goodness. Is it going to fail? It didn't fail. Okay, so so I use the same number of nodes as Mr. JJ Bonzig. I've used way more code. I can actually remove a couple things. And instruction count, I had more, but not a huge amount. Okay, continue editing this segment. So what we want to do now is we want to try and optimize a little bit. So from what I understand, I would have used little vitamin E to solve it, I think. Yeah, so okay, so I believe that I don't need this statement here. And I also don't need this one up here, or this label, because I think they automatically loop back to the beginning. So any spot where I'm doing that, any spot where I'm doing that, I can save one line of code. Again, that's not very many lines of code, considering that I'm using a lot more lines of code, I think. Or was it cycles? What was the... Oh, we'll see in a second. So this loops back. This, I do need it here. Probably. So this is jump if 0 to the beginning. Otherwise, jump here. So what I can do instead is do the not 0 NZ. So if the value is not 0, then jump to 2. So now I can remove that line of code. So it's gonna, if it is not 0, go back to here. Otherwise, it's going to loop back to the beginning anyway. So we don't even need that. Good. So we'll just say loop. So that's cool. And so we... can we remove anything else? So that tactic I just did right here. So if the value is 0, go to notify. I probably can't do that here because of the extra code. If it is not 0, jump back to there. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. So if it is not 0, is that right? Yeah. So if it's not 0, jump back to LP2. Otherwise, move 1 to the left, and then go back to the very beginning. Okay, can we do anything here? Any cool trickery stuff in here? Probably not. This goes pretty crazy. Okay, let's run it, make sure it works. So remove some lines of code. Okay, so what, oh, it was actually cycles. So he did something very clever that I didn't do, where he didn't have to probably rearrange the thing all the time, like I had to do. Lines of code, I'm not too far off. He has a few less lines of code, but given that he has like less than half my cycles, it tells me that he's probably not rearranging the stuff. Interesting. Because I'm taking everything initially, putting it in here, and then I really want it to be the reverse of that for my code. So that I'm moving it all down into here in the correct order that I want, and then sending a signal up all the way over to here. Then this thing is then doing its logic, sending the values up into here, and then when this thing is done, it sends when the 0 goes in here, this thing sends the signal up here. Then this code runs and moves everything back down over to here, so that's in the other order. So he probably doesn't do that. That would be my guess. But I beat it. I got it. That's all that matters. Well, that's fun. Thank you, patrons, for choosing this game. So I might now that I've been bitten by the bug a little bit, I might play this some more. I have some more puzzles. How do we get out of here? So yeah, so I've beaten this one. There's 2 more here, and then I don't know what happens beyond that. There might be more things or not, because there's these other. What's happening? So at least from what I'm seeing, so there's 2 more in this thing. The modem was sick, yeah. There's 2 more here. And then it seems like that there's a whole other page here or something. I don't really understand what's going on here. But so this is, I don't know what this is. And then this is more puzzles, I guess. What does it looks like? I don't know. But yeah, so 2 more on the first tab, and then the last tab seems to have more. So lots more to go in the game. All right, more puzzles. All right, well, that'll be the end of the stream. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by.